William and Mary are 65 years old. They've got $1.2 million for retirement saved, and they're ready to make the leap. They have one major goal, and that's to move down south in the winter months to spend some quality time with their friends in sunny Florida. Do they have enough? Can they make it work? Let's find out. Welcome to Rise in Retirement,
where it is our goal to empower you to make better informed decisions when it comes to your hard-earned dollars.
I'm Jett.
And I'm Taco.
And we are financial advisors at W.A. Smith Financial Group. Our goal is to help you focus more on your life and worry less about your money. And we've got an excellent case example today.
Yeah, today's hypothetical case features William and Mary. They have $1.2 million saved in retirement, and they want to join their friends and their big community down in Florida in the winter months. And so they wanted to know, do we have the assets and can we afford to make this a reality?
Sounds great, doesn't it? I mean, if I could do that, I'd sign up for it right now. You know, they get to go down to Florida. They're seeing their friends do it. They're following them on social media. They can envision it. They can feel it. They've wanted to do this for a while. Their friends being down there makes it even more attractive to them. But they're kind of stuck on, do we have enough? 1.2 million is enough for us here, but can we add that expense to the equation?
Okay, we're going to cover that. Before we do, if you're liking this topic or this discussion, make sure you like the video and subscribe to our page before you go.
Yep. So let's jump in. William and Mary, both age 65. They're ready to retire. As I said before, they've done their homework. They're prepared. They're frugal even, right? So just general retirement is kind of a no-brainer. It'd be a bright green light if we were to just look at it that way. But their number one overarching goal is, can we do this, but also add the Florida component to it? We want to spend at least a couple of months every year in the wintertime down in Florida. We want to join our friends. And they're kind of stuck as to, how do we even approach this?
Yeah. And so like questions that we start asking, I would say, in this type of scenario is and what they needed to understand to make sure that their plan worked is, do you want to own? Mm-hmm. Do you want to rent? How long do you want to be down there? What are you going to do while you're down there? Do you want to literally commit yourself to one area? So there's a lot of different questions that have to be answered before you just pull the trigger and say, yep, we're going to Florida.
Yeah. A couple of case details for you. So we mentioned 1.2 million, about 840,000 of that total was qualified retirement accounts. So those are taxable upon withdrawal. think 401ks. They did have a mixture of non-qualified money. So this is helpful, I think, in a situation like this. This is money that's already been taxed, between bank accounts and brokerage accounts and some CDs that they can get their hands on in a more tax efficient way, potentially. They figure they need about $6,000 per month in cash flow just for regular retirement. Does not include the Florida aspect of it. And no pensions. They're only going to have Social Security. So what they'd have to pull from their asset pool is in a really good, safe withdrawal range. It's less than 3% annually of their asset pool that they're going to have to take. But the Florida thing, first of all, they've never done this. They've never spent extended period of time down there. It's a vacation for a week here or there. So I think there's a couple of things that we want to highlight here that you really got to focus on. And I'm going to start with the first one is, I always advise people that want to do this to try to do a trial run first. Go down, rent a place, Airbnb, VRBO, I don't care what you do. Someone that's willing to rent their place to you, go down, pick the place that you think you want to go. And in that first year of retirement, spend 3 weeks, spend a month, and stay in that place and live like you envision living if you were to do this year round, every year or annually. Because I think a lot of people find that it's not exactly what they thought it would be. And what you don't want to do is commit yourself to something and then look back and regret and have to unwind that decision because either the city wasn't exactly what you hoped for, or the venue or the place that you rent wasn't great.
Yeah. Or in their case, they're frugal already. So it's like, are you going to get down there and think in your head you're going to do all these different things, but then you get down there and you're like, oh gosh, we can't spend our money. I can't afford this. Yeah. And next thing you know, you're just sitting in a place
Yeah.
that
With different temperature.
with a different temperature. So yeah, I think that's a really good idea is, kind of that trial run and really knowing what that situation is going to look like before you just jump into it. Number two, and I kind of alluded to this and mentioned it, is do you want to own outright? Do you want to use it as a rental? Is there any income that you could be looking off of this? If you do own it, are you accounting for what those property taxes are going to look like? Maybe the HOAs that are associated with it,
especially the communities down there. If we're talking Florida,
for sure. And so again, we went back to, hey, retirement looks good for them, 2.5% withdrawal rate. But if you stack on, whether they mortgage that or finance that, or they use, some of their assets to pay for it, again, you have to look at property taxes and maintenance and HOAs and all these different things. So really getting a grip on what those extra costs are going to look like for your budget.
Yeah, if you don't choose to own and then rent it out when you're not using it, brings me to number 3. And this is what I see most people do. They have the vision of, we want to own, but we want to use it for ourselves. We want to extend it to our family for free. We're not going to charge them to use it. We have enough people in our circle of life and our circle of friends that let's own this place and let's just let other people use it for free when we're not there. And now you're talking about year-round expense and maintenance versus a few months. Because I think there's a big pro. I honestly see now more retirees that we help are renting versus owning, especially with the uprising of VRBO and Airbnbs and how much easier it is to get an extended stay at a place like that.
Yeah.
I think that you're setting yourself up for a lot more flexibility if you don't choose to own, but ultimately it's your decision. I just think when you own, you make the financial picture on this a lot tighter and you have a lot more to consider.
Yeah.
Even some of the things that you mentioned before.
And even tying back to like, if you have kids, like if you're owning it, are your kids going to want to have this when you pass? So then it's, how are you setting it up for passing on? Who's gonna sell it if the kids don't want it?
Well, add one more thing too here, like talking about their retirement picture. If you're going to buy and you're going to own, how are you going to buy it?
Right.
Where are you getting the asset pool? Because number one, more than likely it's going to cost more to buy a home down there than it is probably, I mean, it depends on where you live, but in most cases, it's going to cost a little bit more. And so ultimately, how are you going to fund that? And do you have the proper asset allocation to be able to take a larger distribution from your pool for a down payment or to buy it outright? Are you willing to go back into a mortgage zone?
Right.
Because maybe you don't have a mortgage in retirement, but now all of a sudden you're bringing a new mortgage in because you're buying a second home.
Yep.
And yeah, there's some tax advantages and things to it as well. But I just look at the renting is probably the more flexible way to go ultimately. And it's easier for you to income plan for yourself.
For sure. And then, the last one, which renting would help, is that you're not rooted, kind of that same place. 5 years may go by and you go, you know what? I want to go to Arizona now.
Yeah. Or a different city in Florida for that matter.
Yeah. And I want to spend more time that way. And so maybe at that point, you and or your family who you want to get together often aren't rooted to that same exact place. Because if you own it, and you're going to feel pretty obligated that, hey, this is our place. This is where spring breaks are at. This is where vacations are going to be. This is the free spot for the kids to be able to use. And so everybody's kind of centrally going to that one spot, which not a bad thing. Yeah. If you love the location and you have a great place, then that's great.
I guess the last little piece as we close on this is, have you ever thought about becoming a permanent resident there? And what is it going to look like financially? How's it going to feel for you to maintain 2 residences? Just because you're spending 4 or 5 months in Florida doesn't mean you're not still incurring cost on your original home that's still sitting there. Are you renting that home out?
Yeah.
Is that thing costing you more while you're sitting in Florida and vice versa? So excellent goal. I love when people come in and they go, I want to travel, or I want to snowbird it, as we call. But you've got to be really careful. And my advice would be talk to a financial professional, go through these scenarios and think it through, then go speak to someone and ask them how they can help you strategize using your dollars the best way for you to finance the deal.
Yeah. It's very often, Jett, we meet with people who they think it's like far-fetched
Good point.
That they just can't do it. We can't, we want to, we can't do it. I can't stress enough. Many times it is doable in some capacity, whether it's owning, renting, but having a strategic plan of how you're going to pay for it, how it's going to budget into your monthly expenses. So, again, sitting with a professional, making sure that you have a proactive approach to how you're going to attack it, not just retiring and saying, hey, we're doing it, and having no game plan of how you're going to do it, how you're going to afford it. That could be detrimental to your overall retirement if you don't have that plan.
Take this first step. Click on the link in the description of this video and join our Ascend 360 Insider community. This is a no obligation, no cost. It is a free weekly video email series that we send to all of our insiders, covering topics just like this in specific detail. This is, we have a video just like this coming out this Thursday called The Ultimate Guide to Snowbirding. So you want to get your hands on that. Go sign up for Ascend 360 Insider before you leave this video.
You will get weekly emails regarding these types of topics, videos that are just packed with valuable information. So again, make sure you sign up for that.
That's all we have for you today. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time right here on Rise in Retirement.